Hey, friends, it's Pastor Jonathan coming to you today, and it is my joy and my pleasure to be joining you as we do a deep dive with the newest member of our Herndon UMC team. I am here today with JoAnn Batteiger. JoAnn is going to be our new Director of Student Ministries, and I am just thrilled for her to be on our team. What's going on, JoAnn?
Hey Jonathan, how's it going?
Just living the dream, hanging out here in my basement in Herndon. Looks like you're hanging out in your room in
Hang out,
Atlanta.
yeah, down here
My
in Atlanta.
love
It's a little
that.
bit chillier today, but it's nice and sunny, so I love
Love
it.
that. So our whole congregation will be super excited to know we have another Atlanta person coming in. I'm a
Yeah,
huge Atlanta sports fan. You
nice.
just need to know you're coming into some Washington Nationals territory, and you just have to give people a little bit of light to root on some Atlanta folks. Just kidding. That's not what we're here to talk about
Totally.
today. We're really here to talk about you and just how excited we are for you to join our team. So, JoAnn, I wonder if you would just give us a little bit of background. Tell us your story. How did we get to this point, and tell us about your kind of your life up to this point in your life in ministry.
Sure. So, first of all, hello, Herndon. It is so good to join you, and I'm so thrilled and excited to be with you all. My roommates who live with me, who kind of been with me through the whole interview process, can attest to the massive levels of excitement that I had when I was offered the position. So I'm excited just to learn and grow alongside each and every one of you. Um, so my story starts in Richmond, Virginia. That's where I'm from. I grew up there the first like 18 years of my life, and was really invested in my church community at Bon Air United Methodist Church. And it also was really big, like show choir and singing and music and the arts, and like that is really where I kind of found like my niche. So if you're into all those things, yay. And if you're not, also yay. We'll find points of connection and it'll be great. Um, but then I ended up at Shenandoah University where I did my undergrad, and I studied religion and sociology. Really found a love for people, for service, for kind of really trying to think outside the box, like thinking about, well, if we've always done things one way, then why don't we try something different? And thinking really creatively. And now I'm at Candler, so I'm down in Atlanta. I'm going to Emory University, and I'm checking my calendar. There are 2 months and 1 week until graduation, and I'm very, very excited. And I think I wrote in a reflection paper a couple of weeks ago. I said, I look forward to May 9th, 2021, when we'll never have to do homework again in my life. And I still stand by that and everything. But along the way, like I got here, I think, honestly, by the grace of God, I had worked at CarMax for a time, like prior to finding this job, and actually found Herndon on accident. I was going to look for another job, and then I saw this one, and I read the job description, and I actually read it to one of my roommates, and they were like, "Oh my God, this is you! Like, this is your job." And I was like, "Okay, well, let me just put something in, see what happens." And then here we are, and I do think that is a true work of the spirit type situation. But much of my life, so I kind of gave you like the chronological pieces of everything, but thematically, like much of my life has been characterized by asking questions and by just a general like curiosity and knowledge to know more. My mom always said when I was growing up, she always knew when I was sick because I never wanted to miss school because I loved learning so much. Um, and I really do think there's such a deep value in learning, hearing people's stories, perspectives. I always like kind of have like this hunger to know more, and I'm like really fascinated by like TV shows, like how it works, and like about like how it works, and all these other just like pieces that show you how things are done, or like just really wild like fun facts. And I'm like, I don't have a particular interest in like biomechanical sciences, but I'm very interested at how people create prosthetics, and why like why one prosthetic versus another is like really interesting. Obviously, I work in the humanities, so like that, like I would never have thought of that, but I just think it's really cool, like just learning different things and being a really like, as a book I read once, like being an explorer of the world that we live in is really honoring that as best we can. And so I think that for me was the biggest piece, is how much I loved learning, and how when I was in confirmation at my church back in Richmond, really finding just a deep hunger and knowledge to know more about God and to know more about theology and the church. And as I study that more, I've I just been surprised in the different ways that a book like the Bible is like this living document that continues to speak life and relevancy to our lives today, and everything, and how that's shaped us over the last 2,000 plus years. So I'm really grounded in curiosity, and I'm really grounded in a love and connection for people. I really love people. Like, I really love people, but I'm not an extrovert. Like, I kind of find myself like right in the middle of like 50-50 on the extrovert introvert scale. So I'm wired when I'm alone. I'm wired when I'm with people. So I'm just kind of wired like all the time, which I guess is good. Everything. But I really do find like people fascinating, and and I found like just like in different spaces of my life that I've been in, being able to walk with people on their journey has been just a very deep privilege, a deep and holy space that I get to be a part of. And I feel like that's a really big piece of my call, is that either in a hospital setting or at summer camp or anything like that, like really and having that space, and not here to fix questions, not here to fix anything, but just to listen, to walk alongside, has been crucial. And then also too, like I really love to laugh. I really love joy and laughter. It's probably my favorite fruit of the spirit. Because efficiency is not a fruit of the spirit, as some would say, so can't use that one. But I love being able to laugh and joke around, and just to have a good time, because I think there's so much in our life that is so serious that I think laughter grounds us and reminds us of a God who delights in all of us, and who is so delighted at the propensity of human questions that we have. And I really do believe God laughs at me so much and everything. There's been so many times when people were like, when I've just had a moment in my life where I'm like, now I understand. Like, God, I know you're gonna laugh at me, but just hear me out, like, and all of this. And so that is really what I try to do, and I try to, and I think for me, speaking joy, even in the midst of pain and suffering, I think those two things are held together, right? Like those two things are not. We can recognize like there's a lot going on in the way of the world, and we can be aware of the moments of joy, where joy and grace just kind of intercede in these really cool and unique ways. So that's a very short end of that, but if you'd love to have a conversation with me, give me a call, shoot me a text, and we can definitely talk further. But that's just a little bit to start with.
That's beautiful, JoAnn. I love a lot of what you had to say there. Hopefully folks watching this video can see why we were so interested in bringing you on our team, just so that was a very robust response. One of the things you talked about in there that I was particularly interested in, JoAnn, was the sort of the connection with people, and even how people end up being this sort of exposure to the living God, right? And what does it look like to believe that our relationships are an encounter with something holy? I wonder how that kind of perspective of a relational ministry might inform how you hope to lead with students in the life of our church. Our Director of Student Ministries is somebody that works with middle school and high school and college and young adult and the families of all those people. So it ends up being a pretty broad kind of perspective. So how do you see relationships playing a role in the unfolding of ministry?
Yeah. So I think for me, relationships are foundational. If we don't have those relationships with people, then and forgive me for being so bold to say this, but like, then what's the point? Like, I think at the core of our human connection, and the core of our theological human connection, starts with a relationship. So in Genesis 1, God creates humanity. Like on the sixth day, God creates humanity, says it's very good. In Genesis 2, we see that it's not good for humans to be alone. Like, we exist in a very cool and interesting complex web of relationships. And I think our work that we do, whether that's in the church, whether that's in our job, whatever place that we find ourselves in, I think that is the key piece of that. And so I take a lot of joy in the fact that I love people and I love people at all ages of life. And so it's really exciting for me that I get to work with such like a wide range of people and perspectives and stories, because that to me just adds to the very rich texture and fabric of this quilt that we're trying to piece together in our student ministries. And so that could play out a number of different ways. It could be a porch visit, it could be a Zoom call, it could be a phone call, it could be snail mail. Like I am just still thinking on the on the ground how that's going to look. But I do think that is the first, that is the, that's like kind of the barometer that I'm like using as my form of measurement, right? Like it's the saying, if this is not working, if relationships are not where they need to be, then I need to adjust something to make sure that is the key focus. Because I can produce all the great programming and stuff in the world, which I'm just one person, so I recognize I don't have like the greatest PM, ideas or anything. But I can have all this curriculum, but if I don't have the relational capacity, then it's nothing. Like it might as well just not be a thing. So I do think that that'll be my forefront. And so that is what I'm excited to do from a remote place for now. And then when I come in person, getting to be with people safely in person or on the screen or however that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a really great response. And it's a good point to just mention the way that you're coming onto our team is a little bit different, and kind of everything in pandemic is just a little bit different. So you still have a couple months to go at Candler, and so you're going to be joining our team starting on March 15th, and that's going to be in a part-time kind of onboarding, getting things rolling kind of capacity, and then after you graduate sometime in June, you'll be moving to Herndon and starting full time on June 15th with us. And so that's going to be kind of a different approach to how we roll this out. But I think a really cool thing to be able to do, and just that will integrate some of the tail end of your theological education with getting to know the people of Herndon and the community of Herndon. It just ends up being this kind of blend that hopefully takes advantage of some of the hard things that are a part of the pandemic. So we're excited for that, and hopefully you are too. So JoAnn, I think another question. So before I give a serious question, I feel like we need like a quick intermission for a little bit of a goofball. So what is the best show that you've binged in pandemic? It can be like Netflix, Amazon, whatever the platform is, but what's the best show you binged in the last year?
So I have there are three that come to mind, and one is totally ridiculous, but Tiger King. Because I'm fascinated with people, right? And I'm also just like, did Carol Baskin kill her husband? Did she not? Like,
will we ever know?
And will we ever know? Like, we don't know. And it's like so shocking to me, like how quickly we've all moved past this. But I'm like, no, excuse me. I have some very real questions that need to be answered. Like,
wasn't she on Dancing with the Stars too, or something like that?
Yes, she was. And I watched it and I was just like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, there's a lot going on, like it's a lot of intersection and everything. So I would say that. And then most recently, The Queen's Gambit, I thought was just incredible. And every time I thought something was going to happen, it didn't. And I was just totally just brought in. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I don't have a desire to play chess as much as people have just kind of skyrocketed that, because chess to me it's very strategic and I love it, but it's not my kind of strategic game that I would want to play. I like the more strategy games where you have to collaborate with people and form alliances in order to win. Like that's more my scene.
Sounds like a Risk kind of thing, maybe.
Risk, Battleship, there's a game called Secret Hitler that you try to figure out.
I actually have that on my shelf here at the house.
It's so fun, but it also really turns people against each other very quickly.
Also, for anybody watching who hears that and thinks oh my gosh, what on earth are we talking about? Not subject matter is not as controversial, so to speak. Anyways.
Just a personal disclaimer.
Yeah,
But yeah, I would say those are the two shows. And then I just kind of rewatched some of my favorites, like Gilmore Girls, How I Met Your Mother, Friends, I think Will and Grace maybe as well. So
Nice.
just kind of, I just cycle through shows just depending on what I'm in the mood for. So right now I'm finishing up Gilmore Girls, and I'll probably move back to Grey's Anatomy.
I just need to tell you, I'm gonna take this deep dive with you to talk about myself for a second. That for our 10th anniversary, I got my wife a couple of gifts, but one of them was, have you heard this thing called Cameo? It's like this thing where you can get a celebrity to like say a greeting to somebody. What's the name of the guy on Gilmore Girls that wears the backwards hat that owns the cafe?
Oh, Luke.
Luke.
Luke, yeah.
Yes. I got him to wish Kelly a happy anniversary on my behalf on Cameo, and like legit, I think I won a lot of husband points for that. Kelly also loves the Gilmore Girls. So anyways, good times, all the fun. So JoAnn, getting back to some of our like the quote unquote content here, what is, we have this great vision at Herndon UMC to live the teachings of Jesus so that everyone may experience God's love and grow in spirit-filled relationships. I'm curious, how do you see that kind of vision playing out in student ministries as you get ready to come on board here? What's kind of, and maybe the tag on question that is, what is your vision for student ministry in our church?
Yeah, that is a big and deep question that we are all trying to answer. So I think the first piece is like how student ministries plays into that is that I think just when students come, whether that's our students or new friends or whoever come in, that they get to experience the hospitality of Jesus. They get to experience the radical welcome, the radical inclusivity, that all of who you are is welcome, I think, in this space. Because I know that there's nothing worse, and I think nothing less Christ-like than saying, we will only welcome you if ... And I do want it to be a space where everybody can feel free to be themselves in whatever best expression of themselves that is. Because I think that is the foundational piece. When people know that they are welcome just as they are, then we are embodying the teachings of Jesus sort of implicitly and everything. And my vision for student ministries is still under construction. And that is because I do think much of what I do is important, but it's not about me. Like, I facilitate the conversation, but I think it's about what are students envisioning for their time? What is it that they want from their experiences that fit into the larger vision? And my goal is to kind of, translate between the two to kind of come up with something that makes sense. Because I think we've talked about this before, like, I really believe people invest in that which they create. And so I'm not here to say like, I have all the answers and we're going to implement all the things and everything's going to work out, because I actually surprisingly don't have all the answers. I have a degree, but I don't have answers. But I have ideas, and I have ideas of where that can go. But I also realize there's so much beauty in being able to do the trial and error and fail, because when we fail, we kind of learn from our mistakes, right? Like, that is our best. I can say for my own personal life, like, that has been my best teacher, is when I've been able to look back and reflect on the areas that I've messed up and just be like, okay, so this didn't work in this piece, but this piece did work. So how do we troubleshoot and kind of come up with a solution? So I really see us working together as this is a co-creative process, right? Like, the vision is our guiding light of like where we need to make sure that we're meeting, and how does that show up for us on the ground? Because what we might envision right now in this time of COVID that's very transitory may not be the same in 2 years. And so we'll need to constantly come back and update. And I'm really big about open feedback and really making sure that we are doing the necessary work to make that happen. And I want to say, like, I would give a shout out to CarMax on that one, because that is something that it sounds ridiculous, right? So first of all, I'm just going to say I never thought in my life I'd actually sell cars, and I actually did not sell cars at CarMax. I answered the phone. But what I really loved about my time there was this the open feedback that associates gave about how processes worked. And then almost like after gleaning that feedback after a couple of weeks, we'd have new procedures in place that help make things run better and more in line with company values. And I think very similarly, that's very similar to the work that we do, right? Like, that's so similar. Though we name it differently, at the core is still this building, rebuilding, revising, constantly fine tuning to see what works, and being able to be flexible to come back to it. And so I really think so. Right now, it's under construction. The short answer to the much deeper question, but I'm looking forward to being in co-creative relationships, and thinking about and envisioning what that could look like, in the next, especially in this next year that we have so much kind of up in the air. It's kind of like it's, as we were talking about, a laboratory almost, that we can kind of try different things to see what sticks, what doesn't. And but yeah, so it's a little bit about what I'm thinking through.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. So JoAnn, we're gonna wrap this time up with a couple of rapid fire questions. So I hope you're ready. It's just gonna come at you. Like,
All right.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Roller coaster. You ready? So that's a hint at first question. Best roller coaster you've ever ridden?
None, because I do not like roller coasters.
Okay.
I'm scared of heights.
Sorry, we're gonna go back and delete this interview and reopen the hiring because what in the heck? You don't like roller coasters? What is up?
I don't like. It's not that I don't like heights. I don't like falling. And so when people feel the rush of like the drop of stomach, like when you're up at the top and then it just like goes, no, like it is not a favorite time for me. It is very stressful.
Okay.
And
well, I just cried a little inside, but that's okay.
I'm sorry.
Let's hit what is if you're going, so let's say we're out of COVID, it's Saturday night and you're going out to eat, what's your go-to kind of food?
Probably somewhere local, but kind of food would probably be like Mexican. I love Mexican food and I love tacos, and literally my mom every year for my birthday would make like tacos, like everything. So that's all I wanted. She like got to the point she just didn't ask. She like knew.
So anybody that's in our confirmation class will know that we actually asked this question just last night in confirmation. But I'm curious, what is your taco filling of choice then?
For just like if I'm making it at home, probably ground beef.
Okay.
I feel like that's classic. If I'm out somewhere, it's probably going to be like pork carnitas or something. Because I really do love carnitas. And actually, when I went and visited, my brother lives in Austin, Texas, where tacos are just in abundance all the time. I think I ate tacos like twice a day, like every day that I was there, and I was thriving.
Yeah, I was gonna say like God intended, right? I'm pretty sure that's somewhere in like Ezekiel, right? Something about tacos is there.
Precisely, yeah.
Just in case anybody, again, this is about JoAnn. If you need to know me, tacos de lengua are outstanding. My number one choice. And if you don't know what that is, you should Google it, and you will be either appropriately pleased or not pleased. We'll see. Do you know what it is, JoAnn?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm just sitting here looking like I am, but I actually.
You know what? then we're gonna learn you a thing or two when you move to Herndon. So favorite holiday? What's your favorite holiday of the year?
Favorite holiday, I would say Thanksgiving. Because I love. First of all, I love experiencing the world and my life through what I eat. So it's like that food is such a communal thing for my family, and like that is something that I just love. But I love Thanksgiving food because you have like the balance of like sweet and savory and everything. So I'm very big on Thanksgiving, and also because my dad makes these really good like homemade rolls that he's like perfected like over the year. Because my dad's also over the years, like he's an engineer, so he's very big into the trial and error stuff. Okay. And he has been perfecting this roll recipe. So, and he only makes it twice a year, so it's a really, really big deal. Nice. And I finally also have perfected it. So usually every year results in me calling my dad if we're not together for Thanksgiving on like, okay, so I did this, but now, and we're constantly troubleshooting like over the phone or FaceTime and everything. So it's really fun.
I love it. Nothing like a good roll. I love have you ever had like the Sister Schubert rolls? I know they're frozen, but like they come in like the metal tin. I don't know.
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Okay. Don't eat tacos de lengua and Sister Schubert rolls at the same time. They aren't a good combo, but they're both independently very delicious. What's your favorite book of the Bible?
My favorite book of the Bible is Ezekiel because I think, and I really love it because Ezekiel, like when you first read it, like as you're like this doesn't make any sense, right? Like this, but then as you keep reading, you're like, okay, actually, now I'm starting to like kind of get why Ezekiel is really frustrated all the time. And so I love Ezekiel because it's very, very quirky, but also because like Ezekiel sits at this really cool intersection of being a priest and also being called to be a prophet, which none of the other prophets in the Bible sit in this intersection. And so he's kind of talking to his people in the language that they know, while also saying like, hey, like things could be a little bit better if you all would just stop doing the things.
Sure.
And I'm loosely paraphrasing that, but also there's a piece in I think Ezekiel 3 where God tells Ezekiel to lay on his side and like build the little thing. And I just think of his, and I told this in my class I took on Ezekiel at one point. I just had this vision of God saying like, okay, and it's like God saying to Ezekiel, okay, build the Legos. And now turn around the other side and build the other Legos. So I just have this image of Ezekiel in his like middle-aged state and his like long beard, just like playing with us, like fight.
Legoing it up.
Yeah.
Love it. That's beautiful. JoAnn, I want to give you the last word. What you take it from here, and if you want to share anything with the Herndon community, go for it. It's your time.
I just want to say that I am just super, super excited to be with you all and to do ministry with you all and just to learn more about the Herndon story. And I'm so excited. And I'm really excited just, I think, at the way the Spirit has kind of beautifully woven this together. And I'm so thrilled. And I can say the word excited over and over again, but I think you kind of get it. But for real, if you want to reach out, you have my email. I think my phone number is also on the website. Please don't hesitate to reach out with a text or call. If you call me, I will get back to you. I might be in class at the time, but I will definitely get back, and I would love to just have conversations and just get to know our congregation because I'm just so excited. And yeah, that's all it is.
Awesome. Well, we're going to put JoAnn's email address along the bottom of the screen right now so that you can reach out to her if you want to get in touch. That way, we're not going to, since this is going on YouTube, we're probably not going to put your phone number on there. Just, anybody can watch this. So you'll just be getting phone calls from all over the world because we're worldwide. No, but seriously, we are so pumped to have you as a part of our community, as a part of the Herndon Church family. JoAnn, and the fun's just getting started. So we can't wait to welcome you when you arrive in person. But until then, we'll be welcoming you digitally. Looking forward to seeing you with students, hopefully in worship services from time to time, and certainly getting to know you as you get to know this community. And we just can't wait to see how God leads in and through you. So thanks so much for your time today. It's good to be able to connect.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
All right, peace.